Happy birthday, Nobby's Workshop YouTube channel. You're a year old today. Now, I think tradition has it that if I blow out the candle, I'm allowed to make a wish. So let's see what happens. I wish I had for the workshop brand new. Oh, damn it. I think I was supposed to say that quietly. Well, certainly not out loud. Oh dear, I've blown it. Hello, I'm Nobby Clark. Welcome to my workshop. It's hard to believe that this is a year now since I started this YouTube channel of Nobby's Workshop. I'm surprised I managed to keep it going this long, actually, but with the support of particularly my wife and the family, they said I should carry on and do it. I actually recorded this video a few days ago, ready for today, the 4th of July. Because I'm going to be out of action for a little while. Unfortunately, I've got quite bad cataracts in both eyes, and before, if you like, the last weekend, I had to go into hospital for the day to have my left eye attended to. So I thought I'd record this early because I'm not quite sure about the recovery and so forth, whether I will even be able to get into the workshop and do anything for a while. So if there's not a video for a couple of weeks or more, and obviously please forgive me, I'll try and get back with another video as soon as I possibly can. But important for me that I get something done about my eyes. Luckily, the condition has left me with quite good, very, very close vision. So I'm able to use the lathe and milling machine and a lot of the tools in the workshop. But anything beyond, I guess, sort of a couple of feet away is a bit blurry. In fact, if I look at the end of the workshop, this appears to be a bit of a blur as well. So do bear with me. Just wanted to add on to the end of this short video today, just to show you a couple of dial gauges that I have for the workshop. I'll bring the camera in a little bit closer so you can see them in slightly better detail. Bear with me for just a moment. If you'd seen one of my recent videos, I showed this tool I'd made for the Myford lathe, also a similar one that I'd made for the mini lathe, to hold the clock gauge so that I could dial in materials in the lathe chuck. I made this basically to take the dial gauge that I had, which is a Swiss-made Mercer dial gauge. This measures to divisions of 1/1000th of an inch. And I've been using this dial gauge for a very, very long time now, and it works extremely well. It's very, very accurate indeed. But on a recent video where I was dialing in an MT2 taper to make a copy of the taper, the problem I had was with the compound slide clashing with the tailstock, because the probe on here literally wasn't long enough. Now, luckily, one of my YouTube viewers and subscribers sent me this very, very nice dial gauge. It's a Kennedy gauge. This also measures to 1/1000th of an inch, but you see it has a much longer reach on the probe itself. So I was able to, luckily, fit this into this tool here and dial in the taper to get the compound slide set for the correct angle. So that worked out perfectly well. Now, just within the last few days, I was lucky to receive another dial gauge. This one is also like the Kennedy one, a British-made one, made in England. This one actually measures to half a thousandth. You can see that on the gauge here. I'm guessing that this may have been one made for one of the armed services. It has the arrow insignia on it, and the date, which I guess is the date of manufacture, 1974. So this is 49 years old. It works okay. When I actually got it, I mean, I guess that this probably hadn't been used for many years, and the shaft on here was a bit sticky. But after moving it a bit, it's freed itself up and it runs quite nicely now. Problem though, this one is missing the stylus and the little knurled knob at the top, if it had a knurled knob originally, so that, like this one, you can pull the shaft back so that you can bring this up to the work. And if you're turning the work round in the lathe chuck, you can pull this out of the way so that you don't damage the end here. Similarly, with this one as well, has exactly the same thing. Both of these on the stylus itself are similar. They both have a steel ball in the end as well. Now, I guess the chances of being able to get hold of even the stylus for one of these is going to be very, very difficult indeed. I did scour through eBay, but couldn't see anyone selling any spare parts for these. So I thought, well, as a project, why don't I try and actually make a new stylus and a new knob for the top? Now, on inspection, I discovered that inside here, below here, there's a little thread, and also in the bottom here. So I'm guessing that with this one, the accessories would screw into place. So it was a matter of finding out what the threads are. Now I'm guessing, as this was quite old, it would be and being made in England would be a British thread. So I dug out my BA taps and dies. These are all very old. It's a real hodgepodge and mix and mash of taps and dies. Some of the taps I literally have had for a very, very long time. My father had a few BA taps in his workshop. I don't no idea where they came from, so there was something that I rescued, and I was able to get hold of more taps. You see that in some of them, some sizes, I've got a lot more than others. There's some here where I've only got one tap. But I have used these a lot in some of the things I've made, some of the little air-operated steam engines I've made. I've often used BA screws in them. So I looked for what looked at the nearest size, and it appeared that the size seemed to be 6BA. Very gently screwing the 6BA tap into each end. It did seem to go in okay, so I thought, well, I'll make them with 6BA threads on and hope that that is correct. I had some nice bits of small diameter stainless steel bar stock, so I thought, well, it'd be rather nice to make them out of stainless steel. I was actually wondering whether perhaps this is stainless steel. I don't really know, but at least stainless steel in the workshop, it's not going to rust, so it's going to be, I suppose, the ideal material to make them out of. So first thing I made was a little knob with some knurling round it with a 6BA thread on it, and pleased to find that that did screw into here quite happily. Very sort of gently put that. It doesn't have to be forced into there, just sort of very, very lightly screwed in. I made it with a little shoulder in here as well, so that the shaft and would come down cleanly, and obviously would enable it to zero properly. The next thing was to make the stylus. So again, 6BA thread on the bottom with a little shoulder here. I used the same material, but I did turn the size of this down a little bit, put some knurling on it, but then filed the knurling down. That gave it a slightly better appearance. And then what I needed was a steel ball to go in the end. Little steel balls or ball bearings are not something that I have any of, really. I had bought half a dozen or so small ball bearings for another job I was doing in the workshop a few years ago. And what I did, in fact, was measured up the size of the ball bearings on these, and they seem to be sort of, I'm guessing, round about 3mm diameter balls. I found the remaining ones that I had, and luckily they were 3mm as well. So I experimented on a separate piece of material to find a drill that would be just this fraction undersized, so that I could press fit the ball in place. Luckily, some little time back, I bought myself a set of cobalt drills ranging 1 to 6mm in 0.1mm increments. So I was able to find one obviously undersized to 3mm, one that the ball would just literally sit on the top of the hole I drilled in. So when I was machining this, I got the screw thread done. And the knurling, I turned it round in the chuck and then faced off the end and drilled this out to that size, guesstimated how deep that I would need to do that. And then put this little taper on here just to make it look sort of nice and neat on the end, the same as these other ones have. And then press the ball bearing in, and that turned out okay. So that can be sort of screwed in here. So this now sort of completes the clock gauge nicely. So now I've got a nice knurled knob on the top, and replaced the or supplied a new stylus for the bottom. So very, very pleased with that. So I've got now a couple of nice clock gauges measuring to 1/1000. This nice small one, Mercer one, this nice Kennedy one, and the Batty one. Both of these have quite nice long reach probes on them as well. That one sort of came in a nice plastic box. The other one's in a cardboard box, but I'm guessing even this could have been possibly the box it was originally supplied in. I don't know how Batty supplied the clock gauges before. It's got all the same information written on the outside here that actually appears on the clock itself, but I'm going to try and find perhaps a slightly better box to store this one in. So I hope that's of interest to you. I didn't film any of the making of of these two parts here, because it actually took me quite a long time to make them, and it's quite a sort of a bit of a fiddly job, but I thought it'd be just quite nice to show you those two items I'd made. Well, that's it from me. I hope I can get back to you with further videos in the future, but in the meantime, and thanks again to all the subscribers to the channel, and all the nice comments that I'm receiving, and of course thank you for the people that sent me these lovely plot gauges in. Both going to be added to my collection of measuring tools, and something obviously I will certainly look after in the future. So anyway, thank you very much, and bye bye for now.